Hello and welcome to One-to-One podcast, the House of Klajn sessions, powered by Creative Europe and brought to you by Gato Escaldado, Lisbon, Portugal, Keha Festival from Oulu, Finland, and House of Klajn, Klanjec, Croatia. So Dunja talked with three interesting artists who spent 3 weeks working, creating, and living in our house, creating their pieces for Keha Festival in Finland and One-to-One Festival in Lisbon. So enjoy listening.
Here we are with Dmytro Grynov. I said it right?
Yes.
Great. And we are in the week 3 of our one-to-one artist residency. And we are talking with Dmytro about everything connected to art and everything or almost everything connected to one-to-one and one-to-one art. Can you tell me a bit more about your work in general?
I'm a Ukrainian artist who lives for quite a lot of time already in Berlin, around 3 or 5 years around, depends how you count. And my background is mostly based on the dance, different type of dance, but currently more contemporary dance. In the past years, I was start to create more my own work, focus on the performing art and also media art. So it's not only dance-based performing like pieces, but also performances and also some experimental movie, so to say. And that's briefly about it. And that in one-to-one, I'm here because I applied through the open call, and I found it's very interesting, the concept, and also because I had the work which I have created several years ago, which by good circumstances I have to revisit almost every year under different light, under different topic. And this work is actually very intimate, and it's all about relationship and kind of responsibility, the regrets and the guilt-driven actions. So I found it very fascinating that a lot of people could actually connect to it in spectrum of 4 years. This is how long the work exists. And so in this work, different things, and they could fit to different programs and the festivals. And since already it's very personal work and very intimate, somehow I felt very strongly connected even when I have written the description of the festival, what is we're looking for. I felt like, oh, this might be actually a good fit. But of course you never know until you apply. And since I'm here, it means that I got selected, which I'm super happy about. And to have this opportunity to create more personal, even more personal approach, even more personal experience, not only for me but also for the audience, and to revisit it again.
Mm-hmm. But have you ever done anything relating one-to-one art in a format that we are exploring it and we want to present it?
I don't think so. Also looking from a little bit get to know the participants and the media which they are working, I felt that it's more related to the theater and performance, so to say, or spoken word art, performing art. So for me it was actually also surprising, but I was willing to explore and to find out what I could offer. And I always try to see in my personal approach and research how can we create this world and dance based not on shape but also about emotion. And one of the best teachers who I got inspired and who brought me to this world, who were creating performances which is like a world hugging you and carrying you through, and at a certain point it's erasing the perception between you watching it and you living it actually. And I found it very fascinating as a spectator, like 10 years or 12 years ago when I first encountered it. And it was also kind of my maybe inspiration, my goal to try to find a way how I can create work or this artistic world where I could carry my audience and maybe share myself, but also give them this journey. And I hope it happens from time to time.
But it's a journey for yourself as well every time. Yeah. And in for you when you think about one-to-one, like I said, this type of format. What is interesting for you in a way that really pushed you to get more engaged with it?
I mean, I think for me it's also artistically I'm curious how people can connect and if they can actually experience what I experienced, or maybe they can recall something which they don't want to witness or face. Because I believe as a human beings very often we are in the neglected state when we don't accept the reality or the consequences. We don't want to look for, we don't want to feel pain, and very often it's kind of escapism what we are doing. And a lot of, like, for example, bad habits with humanity follow. It's also based on escaping from the reality, from actual pain, from the grief, from the uncomfortable situation. So for me to enter it, once again, of course it's a challenge, but also I'm curious how people will perceive it, you know, because already I had some experience with the audience when they felt very connected and very touched, and it gave me the sensation that I'm doing something right and the work has certain meaning and impact, which is most important. So it's not just a beautiful execution of movement, but to kind of address these issues which I'm living during the work, and also to have a physical embodiment. It's kind of interesting. Like, I would really love to see how it will challenge me from perception of not projecting my personal story towards the member of the audience, but also maybe call for certain actions or for certain realization, or also see how the audience member will react to certain struggles or the situation which I'm placing myself into, to understand what is the actual interest, what is actually genuine thing there, and how they react. Because I believe you're all perceiving the life and world and pain and certain events through personal experience, but also through our own vision, and not everybody can sense in a certain way things we perceive. So for me it's also interesting how people react to, let's say, self-destructive, very intense and exhausting presence. Do they find connected to it? Do they feel shame or guilt or anger or discomfort? So for me it's also would be nice to see if there's some range of emotion which changes through the work, and in general if it occurs while we'll be performing. It's also, I think, give me space to really observe the reaction, so it's not a invisible wall of dark curtain when you're performing in the, let's say, traditional theater environment, when you don't see your spectators and you can just imagine if they perceive something. But here is you can really witness certain emotions and certain responses, which I believe is also very unique and precious. So I'm kind of excited.
How we mirror the one-to-one situations in now in the performances or pieces and life, and how sometimes for us the collective experience has a completely different way of taking us in and bringing us to the piece, and sometimes it helps you to get lost in the crowd.
Caught myself right now thinking that, from what I hear a little bit and understand, that a lot of one-to-one performances, they are very participatory in terms of they based on providing experience for the audience by interacting with them. And I think on a physical level, on the term of discourse and connection or dialogue. And if I look at my work, I think that my discourse, let's say, it's less participatory, but it's something which is not kind of, you can easily stand up and leave the room. So I think it's more on the psychological level, and it's more maybe strong or in the face, or something which it put you into thinking process, you know. And then perhaps it's not so easy, let's say, to digest. But I found it's also, for me personally, fascinating that I don't have to create maybe a lot of elements, but still, for example, within the residency here, knowing that work is already creating impact without it, I try to find a way how can I strengthen it and maybe have a little bit of this participatory element with the audience, but not on the typical way which it would go on, but also in the way that it will strengthen the already existing topic and make it actually meaningful rather than just beautifully decorated or adjusted. So this is, for me, is also kind of very, very interesting. I'm excited to see how people react, respond. And as we had already our one outside eye, it was very interesting to see her tripping during the work and getting lost in her own journey. And from one side it might feel like, oh, it's not, the person is not attentive. From the other side, I understand that it evokes some memories or some maybe reflection towards your own life. And I think it's also valuable because in the end, I think great art is when you create and then you can connect with your personal story, and then you go home and you need to digest. And it's not more about digesting how amazing the work or how beautiful art created, but more towards what you do with your life or how you behave. So yeah, I hope it's gonna have some impact like this.
Yeah.
No big pressure.
No big pressure. The outside eye you were talking about was Alexandra Stojaković-Olenyuk, an actress from Croatia, from Rijeka, who did one-to-one performance. She's also director of her own author pieces. And we spent 2 lovely days with her, exploring, talking a lot, and getting a different perspective on stuff. And I think her experience, what she shared about her own creating a one-to-one piece, pick and play, that was set in Rijeka a couple of years ago, I think it gave to all of us some valuable insight in what are we doing with not just this project but generally with art. We had some really interesting conversations and topics about connecting to the audience. And
yeah, I think it was very also valuable, even though we work in a different media and we have different topics and approach to it. Also to see her way of perceiving things and getting insight of motivation, of inspiration, of track of course and thoughts and difficulties, in order to understand also what can I extract, for example, from this experience. Like, is there something valuable which I can apply, even if it's completely opposite topics and directions and representations. And at a certain point I get also the hint, because it's more for me always about thought process and approach towards the topic rather than the actual execution, because somehow I'm not interested in just to copy paste good working practice and take it to me, because I also believe as an artist I have completely different experience and background. So I just personally know that if I'm not push it through my, like say, digestive artistic system, it's not gonna work out because it's just not gonna be mine. So this was also kind of for me very beneficial and interesting to find what could I extract, and is there something actually which I can apply towards my work, which is completely opposite and like parallel towards what Alexandra was doing. And it was nice. It took time,
Yeah.
but it was nice to question and to find certain directions. Yeah.
Well, now we are actually in this. We are now in a one-to-one situation,
Yes.
and it's kind of also feels like a small performance because with the awareness of that we are recording it.
Yes.
And like I am very attentive to what you are saying, but also on another level I'm thinking about okay, how are we doing with the time, what's the next question, if Lena and Eva in the kitchen are too loud, or if the dog will bark.
Yes.
So it's because we had almost every day one-to-one conversations about everything. Art, but also everyday life and music and exploding kittens or whatever. But this is like also some special situation that can be parts of it, and some emotions can also be translated as a performative. Thank you, Dimo, for this short talk, for this short one-to-one performance.
My pleasure.
I am glad to be a part of it. I'm still not sure who is the audience, who is the performer, but
I mean, maybe lamp is the audience.
Maybe the lamp is the audience.
Performers.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And talk to you soon.
Yes, I agree.